Hey, I just want to stop in and let you know about a camera I just picked up. This camera happens to fall in between two of the cameras that I already have. The one that I shoot the most is the Nikon F3. My version is the F3T in black, and the lens that I use on it most is the 40mm F2 by Voigtlander. It has this cool little lens hood on it. I find this to be a great combination. This lens has the same physical profile as the 50mm f1.8 by Nikon. I just kind of think it's cool, and it does have on it some red and black to complement the camera. So my F3 hasn't been customized much. I do have the AR9 soft shutter button on it, and it does have the DE2 finder. The F3T, from what I understand, came with what's called the DE4, and I did try to pick one up to put on the camera, but they cost more than the camera itself. So I'm going to stick with the more low-profile DE2 for now. The camera does have on it the typical brassing on the sides that shows that it was indeed used, and personally I like that look. So this is the one that I find to shoot the most. I just love the look, feel, and pretty much everything about it. There really isn't too much I can say about the F3 that you guys haven't already heard or read yourselves. The camera that I picked up 2 months ago is the N90s. Great camera, very solid. This one goes hand in hand with the F100 based on everything I read. It was pretty much a high-end consumer grade, maybe similar to what a D750 is now. I'm not sure, but this camera was actually a gift from a good friend of mine. I have on this one full-time the 50mm f1.8 AF lens. So far I've shot one roll of film through this camera. Great camera, quite solid. This one does have the clean on it, the clean back. Quite often the N90 and the N90s has actually worn off a bit from use, but this one is actually quite clean and in great condition. So the camera that I just picked up falls in between these two. It's the N2000, otherwise known as the F301 in a market outside of the United States. This camera I picked up basically on eBay recently, quite cheap, because it had a 50mm 1.8 that I wanted. Come to find out, the more that I take a look into this camera, it's actually quite solid. This was the entry-level camera, I think, to take the place of the FG back then. And the more that I find out about this camera, the more I thought of the 1973 Corvette. I don't know how many of you are into cars, but the Corvette from, say, the 1968 had a very cool look, like a shark, basically. It had on it chrome front bumpers and chrome in the back. And 1973, they kept the look of the 1972 in the back with that classic chrome, but they switched the front bumper to more of a urethane plastic look. So I find the 1973 Corvette to be somewhat of a Corvette in the middle. It got a few enhancements and a few looks, but it still kept a lot of the original chrome classic look. So that's what, when I think of this camera, I think of the 1973 Corvette. This camera is a 20-ounce 35mm SLR manual focus camera. This is not autofocus. That didn't come until the N2020. This camera accepts all F-mount, of course, AI and AIS glass. This camera came out in 1985, and they only produced it through 1988, I believe. It conveniently works with either 4 AAA batteries or 4 AA batteries. When I bought this one, it did not have a tray in it, so I had to contact somebody online, and I ordered a AAA tray. I think that's the MB-3. So I'm sorry, that's the MB-4. So that arrived yesterday, and I put some in it, and this thing works fantastic. It's quite clean. It even has this cap on it here. Most of these are gone. But I am thinking to blow a roll of HP5 through this camera over the next couple weeks to see how I like it. Some cool things about this camera. This was the first Nikon 35mm SLR camera to feature autofilm advance and autofilm loading. That means when you put the cartridge in the back and you extend over the leader, you tuck it down there and close it up and turn the camera on. It'll advance 3 frames, I believe, and you're all set to go. It'll end up on 1 and you are good to go. Also, as you take a picture, it will auto advance. So you'll see there is no film advance lever on this camera. That's one thing that I actually love about these, but we'll see how it goes with this camera. This was also the first SLR by Nikon to use polycarbonates in the build. It has an electronic shutter that goes from 1 second to 1/2000th of a second. Some of the old features that I like, there is no pop-up flash. I like that. And to wind the film back when you're done, it still has the conventional hand wind. This will not wind all the film back in the cassette when you're finished. The focus is manual. This is not an autofocus camera, which I like. Some of the features that were new, we talked about autofilm advance, autofilm loading, and this also was the first SLR by Nikon to have the DX coating for the film. That meant if you put in a roll of film that was, say, 400 ISO or ASA, and you put it on that, the film camera will actually read a code on the canister and will set it accordingly. You can, however, still set the ASA yourself, and I think it goes from 12 on the way up to 3,200. So that's just a quick bit about this camera. I think it looks great. It's got just enough of the electronics, and it also has just enough of the old school stuff on it that I think it's a camera I'm going to enjoy. So, like I said, I'm gonna put some HP5 through it, probably push that to 1600. That's what I've done the last couple rows, and I do like the look. So if you're interested to see the pictures, leave me a comment down below and let me know, and when I get those done, maybe I can put something else together to share that with you. But thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.